I got topics. We're going to talk about Cody Garbrandt and Sean O'Malley, because Sean O'Malley has revealed some backstage stuff that happened as it relates to him trying to get a fight with Cody. And then I'm going to talk about something else. I'm going to talk about Pride versus UFC. What was going on there? Like, you know, the impression of Pride fighters when they were coming over to UFC and what ended up being reality, and then why our impression was what it was. That's going to happen. But if you don't mind, please subscribe, ring the bell, and then most of all, share with your friends, okay? That is what will help me grow this channel, and I will be eternally grateful. Anyway, so that's that. Now let's talk about O'Malley and Cody Garbrandt. So O'Malley just came out and was talking about the beef that him and Cody had on Twitter, and it's so funny, dude. The way that he does it is like, because he's like, you know, I mean, I was kind of giving Cody props. I mean, he got knocked out not twice, 3 times in a row, and then he beats Assuncio by knockout. I mean, that's really impressive. I mean, I've never been knocked out 3 times in a row. Like, I've never been knocked out 3. Like, he must have been really scared, must have had his back against the wall. Like, I've never been in that position, so, like, you know, I got to give him props. It's like the most intentional, underhanded comment ever. Like, a compliment. Like, he is now, you can see, Sean O'Malley, you know, even though he talks slow, you know, and he's more chill than Connor, and he has rainbow hair, he's playing the game because he knows he's going to fight Cody, and he just wants to play. He wants to associate Cody's association with Sean O'Malley with getting knocked out. Okay, so I mean, that's the kind of mind fuck that I operate in, and I can recognize in other people. You know, it's like, when he thinks of me, I want him thinking of being knocked out. So I'm going to bring that up, even when I'm complimenting him. So he thinks about it constantly. And it's not about, it doesn't, the law of intention is so strong. If he thinks about being knocked out and associates that with me, I'm going to knock him out. I mean, plain and simple. He's going to just be ready to be knocked out by me. And that's what Sean O'Malley is doing when he's talking about Cody. But the thing, you know, they went back and forth, and obviously Cody's fighting for the belt at 125, which I hope immensely that he wins. And I mean, if he fights O'Malley, I'll root for Cody, even though I love both those guys. But Cody's one of my guys. But yeah, so O'Malley wanted Cody. Cody is going down to fight Figueiredo, and O'Malley said that Dana didn't want him to fight Cody. And who said that? Who made entire videos about that? This guy. If you're late to the party, this guy said that. Because I said, you only have a handful of stars at 135. Like stars. Like actual big deal stars. And O'Malley and Cody are the 2 biggest ones. Okay, so why would you have them fight each other right now when neither of them is a champion and you can't sell 1 billion pay-per-views about it? Makes no sense. One of them's going to lose. Why would you want that? Why on earth would you want that? Right? So, yeah. Don't have them. Like, if they, like, O'Malley's still building himself up. Cody is a great matchup for him. You know, anybody who isn't going to, like, directly go for wrestling is a great matchup for O'Malley. Like, he's so creative. He throws so many strikes. He can hit you from so far away. There's 100 things coming at you at once. I mean, seriously, like, watch his fights and then imagine, imagine actually being squared up with him. It's like, I mean, I do that all the time when I watch him. I'm just like, geez, man, like, you know, and he hides what's coming really well. You know, like he throw like his, like I can't think of the exact, but like he has kicks that start exactly like his punch. You know, like his movement is identical between his punch and then, you know, specific kicks, and he obviously does that intentionally. And he's a cerebral fighter who has dozens of different ways to attack you. It's got to be very challenging. That's what Daniel Cormier said about fighting John Jones. That's what he said about why John Jones was so challenging to fight against, is because he throws so many things at you, you know, that you just, it's a lot of information to keep track of. That's all you're doing in there. Like, that's all you're doing. When you're fighting a person, that's all you're doing, is you're calculating information and you're reacting to the information. I mean, it's like, it really is not different than like one of those video games where you're like stepping on the, you know, you're stepping on the lights as they come on. Or like, you know, one of those VR games where the things come and you have to like quickly react to them. I mean, it's literally exactly the same thing. And when you fight a guy who has 1 million different attacks, it's like going into level 12 where all of a sudden you have all these other things coming at you that you've never seen before. And you're like, geez. And there's no way to train for it because there are ways to train for it, but it's going to be pretty hard to find someone world class who can do that stuff. Now, I mean, basically, you have to bring in someone who's like a world champion professional stand-up fighter, right? Not a mixed martial artist to be able to even mimic a person like John Jones or Sean O'Malley. So, anyway, I just got caught up on what's his name? O'Malley's his next opponent, whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. And he's good, man. He won 5 in a row, and finished all of them, and then lost a decision in his last one. But like, dude, that guy, he's the real deal. But again, he's a guy that if he's smart, he should be trying to clinch, because he's very powerful. He's very quick. He can finish you, on the ground. He can finish you standing up. But standing up, he's gonna have to get a lot closer to hit Sean O'Malley than Sean O'Malley has to get to him. And yeah, I mean, I haven't even seen Sean O'Malley really get challenged very, very much. I mean, a couple guys have taken him down, but he gets up and then he, dirt naps him. It's like, I'm very excited for that fight. Anyway, all right, so moving on. Now we're gonna talk about Pride and UFC and this whole thing that I actually shot this video, stumbled on this thing as I was just kind of like tangenting about something, and I was like, oh, that's a whole other video. But maybe I'll just include it in this one. I don't know. Bottom line though, so we're gonna talk about Pride when the UFC bought it and why people like me assumed that all the Pride guys were better than the UFC guys. Okay, so anybody who's like a real hardcore fan, and was watching Pride, you're talking like Rampage Jackson, Vanderlei Silva, Mirko Cro Cop, Anderson Silva, like who else came over from there? But anyway, like when UFC bought Pride and absorbed it, and all of a sudden we had all these new fighters, and these are guys who we had been watching fight in Japan, and the universally accepted narrative was that the Pride guys would destroy the UFC guys. And in my older age, I think back on that and reflect, and it's so hilarious and obvious why that was the foregone conclusion prior to having seen them fight. Because Chuck Liddell, he got knocked out by Rampage, but he knocked out Alistair Overeem over there. But the bottom line is, like, it had nothing to do with the fighters. Really. It really didn't. Like, and that's illustrated because the UFC fighters beat the shit out of most of the Pride guys. I mean, some of them did really well. Obviously, Shogun became the champion. Anderson Silva became the champion. Who else had a successful career? Rampage became the champion. So, 3 champions came out of Pride. So it's not like they were nothing. But we thought that, like, just the entire crop of Pride fighters were just universally better than the UFC fighters. And again, it didn't have anything to do with their skills. What it had to do with us. Because the mainstream MMA was UFC. And so if you were a casual, you knew about UFC. And if you were a hardcore fan, you knew about Pride. And so, if you want to, it's about you. Like, it's about elevating yourself, where you're like, oh, dude, you guys don't understand. Vanderlei Silva would destroy those guys. And for the record, Vanderlei in his prime would have destroyed those guys. But if you get to say, you guys, like, what you're really saying is, like, you don't even get it because you're a casual fan. Like, you don't get it. Like, you don't understand who Fedor is. Like, you're casual. Like, have you ever seen Mirko Cro Cop fight? Like, have you actually ever seen him fight? Have you ever seen Shogun Hua fight? Like, these guys would walk through these guys. Okay, have you ever even seen them? Casual. Okay, if you were a person like me who really understood the sport and had watched all their fights, like, you would know. Okay, your guy has no chance. Okay. Hardcores like me are way more educated than, like, little minuscule people like you who don't even know. You don't even know who Vanderlei is. It's a joke. He's called the Axe Murderer, dude. You think you call him the Axe Murderer because he's going to lose to a UFC fighter? Think about that. How about Mark Hunt? Huh? You know who Mark Hunt is? You think he's ever going to lose if he fights against a UFC fighter? They don't even know how to fight in the UFC. Okay? Name one good UFC fighter. Name one that would beat a Pride fighter. It would never happen. Okay? Never. That didn't really turn out to be true, though, did it? When Gabriel Gonzaga head kick knocked out Mirko Cro Cop, that was the most shocking thing I'd ever seen. Because Mirko Cro Cop had systematically head kick knocked out everyone, on top of which he had just won the Pride Grand Prix, where he knocked out Vanderlei Silva in the championship when Vanderlei did the biggest cycle he's ever done. He was so massive, dude. He looked like he was going to do that fight and then just shoot over to the Mr. Olympia contest right afterwards. And Cro Cop peppered him up. They had actually had at least one, maybe 2 fights before that. And Crow Cop hit him with an ankle shot, like, you know, the ball of your ankle right across the temple, and just boom. And Vanderlei was never the same after that. But Crow Cop came over, and you're like, oh geez, who did they feed Mirko in this fight? It was like, oh, that was an even gnarlier head kick knockout than I think I've seen Mirko deliver on anyone. That was crazy. And geez, I guess me being a hardcore fan, I didn't really know what I was talking about. I guess really I was just more pumping myself up, I guess. It's kind of embarrassing when you think about it, huh? But Anderson Silva, and what's actually really funny about that is that Anderson Silva was by far the most successful champion that came out of Pride. Guess what his record in Pride was? 2-3. Right? He's 2-3 in Pride. He comes over to UFC, and so he was actually the like shining example of why another like proof that we were right, that all the Pride guys were better, because Anderson Silva was 2-3 over there. I don't think I'm wrong about that, but he had just lost to a flying knee bar. Go look up Anderson Silva flying knee bar. It's one of the sickest submissions you'll ever see. But he came over, he fought Chris Lieben, you know, who was Chris Lieben, like, you know, a zombie pawing in the dark, but like would always that's one of my favorite mixed Molly things ever. Like he's talking about Ronda against Amanda Nunes. He said that her striking defense basically was summed up as a zombie pawing for a light switch in the dark. That's basically what Chris Lieben was, but he could just take shots, and then eventually if he hit you, you were going night-night. He had a monstrous power, but and he could eat shots. But against Anderson Silva, he was just like, oh, this is like dummy target practice. Go watch Anderson Silva versus Chris Lieben if you want to see, like, the most blatant outclassing of anyone you'll ever see on their feet. Go watch Anderson Silva against Chris Lieben. Maybe I'll just include it in here. And then if you want to see the next example, watch when Anderson Silva won the title off of Rich Franklin. Because Rich Franklin had been a dominant champion at 185, and Anderson Silva made him look like he was like just not that different from Chris Lieben, right? With Anderson, it was a rhythm thing. I'll do another video about this actually at some point. But like with Anderson, it was rhythm and precision. Like he would just time guys out. He would take his time, you know. He would draw you in. He'd get you to throw punches. And all he's doing is just downloading information. And he's like, okay, so, you throw that? Cool. I could have hit you there. Yep, could have hit you there. All right, so now I can bait you into that and I'll just hit you there. He's literally the whole first round. I mean, not the whole first round. I mean, you know, the first few minutes. He is watching you, and he's just downloading where your openings are. He feints at you. He gets you to react. You throw a couple punches. He sees where you're open, and the next time you throw it, he knocks you out, or at least starts piecing you up. But anyway, that's the video for today. Help me get some views, okay? Like, I'm a pretty confident gentleman. I have no doubt of where this channel is going. It's aggravating watching view counts go down, even though I am certain it's because of and I'll tell you how I know actually, because I did that one title and I put that thing that we're all locked down because of in the title, and I put it up, and like, you know, it gives you the list of your last 10 uploads and where they stack up. It was in 10th immediately, and like it was down 80%, and I'm like, this is a top 10 list. Like, I was expecting it to just go bananas because I had never done a top 10 list. I'm like, why is no one watching this? Like, this is a good topic. And then I realized I had put that word in the title, and then I pulled it out, and then immediately it picked up. And but I talked about it in the video. Algorithm picks that up. Then I talked about the Northwest. Algorithm picks that up. And anyway, so subscribe, ring the bell, share the video. Let's do this thing.